Thank you, Chairman Bingaman. Thank you for convening this hearing, and thank you for your leadership and for the way you've conducted this committee, to you and to Senator Murkowski for continuing to work forward on these important issues. Senator Risch and I have a slightly different view of the, I think you characterized it as shackles and heavy-handedness of the federal government. I can see how some can disagree over the impact of regulations, but I'll simply point to over 2 centuries of American experience where there are many different examples where federal investment helped drive forward the adoption of new technologies, the creation of new markets, and our leading global position, from intellectual property protection to tax, trade, immigration, research and development, federal investment, federal supports, federal standards have played a critical role. So let me get to the question, if I can, at hand, sir. Looking for something that might be helpful. There are, of course, critics, both here and nationally, who have some real issues with a clean energy standard, calling it another unnecessary federal government intrusion and a drag on the economy. CAFE standards for automobiles, fuel efficiency standards for car and truck fleets were debated vigorously for more than 20 years before there was any real progress to increase minimum vehicle standards, starting with model year 2011. Phase 2 requirements are now being developed for the next round, 2017 to 2025, and I think there have been clear benefits for innovation, jobs, economic transformation because of a long-term market signal. Is it valuable to look at CAFE standards as another place where a clear market signal made a fundamental difference? I see an American auto economy today where employment has stabilized, where they've had record years, where they're selling models that are competitive domestically and globally. And I'd be interested in both of your comments, but particularly, if I might, Mr. Sandilow, on whether or not CAFE standards have demonstrated recently the impact, the positive impact of a federal regulatory standard.
Yes, they are, Senator Coons. Thank you for your question. And your question is particularly meaningful to me because, as I said earlier, I grew up in the great state of Michigan, and that's a state that's been plagued by unemployment over the years. When I go back today, I see a sense of optimism and hope there that's the result of the President's policies to save the auto industry, and it's a result of the clear long-term signals that new fuel efficiency standards provide, starting to transition the American auto industry towards technologies of the future. And it's exactly the type of clear long-term signals like that make a big difference. And if I could just add, I thank you for your eloquent statement about the federal government and the federal role. I would just add—
Feel free to expound if you
want. Well, thank you, Senator. I would just add, it is, the American system of government is one of the great contributions of our people to mankind. And it is the American government that funded the research that led to the Internet. It's the federal government that funded the research that led to GPS systems. It's the federal government that funded the large-scale deployment that led to commercial aviation. And just in my department, long before I arrived, we started administering a program for appliance efficiency standards. Those standards are saving American families and businesses $15 billion a year. So the federal government plays a central role in promoting innovation and in saving American families money, in particular in the area of energy.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sandilow. I do think there are legitimate questions and concerns raised about regulatory impact. We do owe it to our constituents to make sure that regulations, when imposed, are reasonably targeted, achieve the effect that they are designed to achieve, and that they are efficient. They need to be reconsidered at times. But I do think that's another good case. Energy efficiency standards, we've demonstrated in previous hearings and discussions on this committee, have actually incentivized new plants, new investment, new R&D, new products, new hiring, rather than the counter case, which has been made by many others. Dr. Grinsbeck, would you like to add to this conversation?
Yeah, I'm not from Michigan, but I did write a thesis that had something to do with the automobile industry. I would say one difference, and again, it doesn't make it good or bad because we don't take positions on policy, but CAFE, has to do with sort of and appliance standards have to do with what the new vehicle, what will be the characteristics of new vehicles. There's nothing in the CAFE program or in the appliance efficiency program that says, effectively, we're going to set up a program where you must get rid of your existing vehicle or you must, get rid of your old refrigerator. Might be a very good idea. You might save a lot of money by getting rid of your old refrigerator. This clean energy standard, I think, I mean, it's not about what the new build is going to be, because we have very little coal, frankly, in our new build anyway, given gas prices and a host of other things. The clean energy standard would essentially works by displacing, the existing capacity that doesn't meet its standard. So in that sense, it is somewhat different than appliance efficiency standards or CAFE standards that focus on, if you're going to buy a new car, a new refrigerator, this is how it needs to be. So that's just to make a fair observation. There are some similarities, but there are some pretty significant differences.
But wouldn't you agree a critical difference is that this is providing market-based incentives over the long term for that future mix of energy generation, rather than mandating that any new generation capacity hit certain targets?
I think what it's saying is indirectly, I think it is a mandate to displace existing generating capacity that meets a lot of the nation's electricity load. I mean, the coal share of generation has fallen from 50% right now to well below 40%, because with natural gas prices low as they are, you find that in many cases it's cheaper to dispatch, again, without regard to emissions or anything else, just in the straight dollars and cents. Many areas of the country, the gas plants will run ahead of the coal plants, but it is, it is a little bit of a different thing to say you must stop using, some of the capacity that you're using today. I mean, it's not the same thing in my mind as a CAFE standard or an appliance efficiency standard. But that's just an observation. That's not saying it's a good thing to do or a bad thing to do. It's saying that it's just inherently a different kind of proposal.
I see I've exceeded my time. Thank you.